The All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer was a multi-purpose walker used by the Grand Army of the Republic during the Clone Wars. Manufactured by Rothana Heavy Engineering, the walker was 22.02 meters long and 9.57 meters tall. It had a top speed of 60 kilometers per hour. It was armed with 6 Mod 21 heavy laser cannon turrets, 4 in the front surrounding the driver's compartment, and 2 in the back. It was also armed with one Firefont 04 mass driver cannon and an open barbette mount above the crew compartment. It was capable of embarking 2 all-terrain recon transports or 20 clone troopers into battle. It was used by the Galactic Republic, Galactic Empire, and the Alliance to restore the Republic. The walker was low-slung, with a body consisting of 2 armored halves connected by a flexible vestibule to increase its mobility. In this way, the vehicle was based on the Arctic horny whelmer, a native creature to the planet Rothana. The vehicle had a relatively low top speed due to its short legs, but due to this, and the fact that it used 6 legs, made the ATTE a very stable platform. The ATTE was capable of fighting on nearly all terrains, including the ability to climb up sheer 90-degree cliffs, and its pressurized cabin allowed it to operate even in the vacuum of space. Its magnetized feet allowed it to clamp to any metal surface, which made it perhaps not an optimal, but certainly a capable boarding craft. The most powerful weapon the vehicle possessed was the mass driver cannon, located in an open barbette above the driver's compartment, making the vehicle a suitable tank and mobile piece of artillery. 6 smaller ball turrets housed the laser cannon armament for anti-personnel as well as light vehicle stopping work. The armor could deflect small arms fire and presumably large caliber tank rounds from vehicles like the AAT. However, the tank masher rockets deployed by the IG-227 Hailfire droid was capable of destroying them. The vehicle's complex propulsion mech being damaged or destroyed could also render the vehicle immobile, assuming it didn't destroy the entire vehicle in the first place, but the walker could in theory still operate as a stationary pillbox. The crew arrangements were, shall we say, interesting. The pilot sat in the very front of the vehicle outside the armor, but surrounded by 4 of the anti-personnel laser cannons. The pilots often wore armor that was similar to that of the clone trooper pilots. The main gunner likewise was outside the armor, sitting in the open barbette, in an open, unshielded seat. The blast from the mass driver cannon often required these troopers to wear specially reinforced armor. The rest of the crew was inside the tank's armor. The vehicle could carry 20 troops in its standard configuration, while other configurations allowed for AT-RTs to be carried, or for the vehicle to act as a mobile command center. They also often carried IM-6 medical droids to attend to the wounded. The vehicles were developed and built by Rothana Heavy Engineering, a subsidiary of Kuat Drive Yards. They were built to work with the LAAT gunships and the Acclamator-class assault ships. They saw service on many battlefields across the Clone Wars, most notably the first and second battles of Geonosis, the Battle of Ryloth, the Battle of Teth, the Battle of Saleucami, and the Battle of Mandalore. During the Battle of Utapau, the mass drivers of one of the 2/12 tanks was used in an attempt to execute Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi. The vehicle would be phased out of service for new vehicles like the all-terrain armored transport in Imperial service. 15 years after the Clone Wars, Captain Rex, alongside Commander Wolffe and Gregor, were using a modified ATTE as a mobile home on Celos. This vehicle was later used in the destruction of 2 of the 3 AT-ATs that were deployed on Celos before being crushed as one of these walkers came crashing down on it. Several old walkers were captured, restored, and modified by the Alliance to restore the Republic in order to see service in the Galactic Civil War. Such modifications included additional armor and upgunning the main armament. These modifications became broadly known as the Elite ATTEs. ATTEs may have been phased out of frontline service for the Empire, however they still saw service in rear echelon positions, and there was at least one on station when the New Republic launched its attack on Kuat Drive Yards in 5 ABY. Now for my opinion on this walker, and it's an interesting walker. It's actually, I think, my favorite walker from the Star Wars universe, and from a strictly design standpoint of armored vehicles, like most walkers, it's absolutely terrible. But from a design standpoint of, like, in the Star Wars universe, it's actually quite good. Much better than its successor, the AT-AT, considering that it's almost impossible to trip the ATTE. And this is where we end up with kind of an interesting situation with the ATTE. Whereas the ATTE is simultaneously probably the best tank produced that at least was a walker variant, the best walker tank, and also looks like it was a rush job. And why do I say that? You look at the AT-AT, and it's got enclosed cockpit. It's got main armament that does not require the crew to be exposed. The main armament is movable, but, it's very limited. I mean, the AT-AT is clearly a well-designed, although poor in concept, but well-designed vehicle. It's a complete design vehicle that went through several stages, and you kind of get a feel for that in Rebels. The AT-TE has an exposed cockpit and main gun position, which is going to make both of those positions easily accessible for snipers, or any other kind of deadly material that happens to be abundant on the battlefield. And its main drive system is fairly exposed. I mean, a rocket fired from an IG-227 can knock the vehicle out entirely if it hits this area. And I don't just mean that it's going to just disable it. I mean, it's going to completely destroy it in most cases. So it's very obvious the AT-TE was done in a rushed manner to get it out on the battlefield as quickly as possible in as many numbers as possible. And yet it's still a better tank. I mean, for one thing, it is low to the ground and has enough stability that it's not going to get tripped if you pull a wire across the battlefield like the AT-AT does. I mean, like when you can disable an enemy tank with a wire that just trips it, that's not something you really want to have on your vehicle. Now, of course, the AAT is pretty obviously showing that repulsor lifts, if you're going to use something for power tank, repulsor lifts are probably the best thing. If you're not, tracks are probably the best thing in the Star Wars universe. So legs, not really, but legs give you all kinds of other advantages that repulsor lifts or tracks don't, such as the ability to climb straight up a cliff, which the AT-TE can do. Something that I'm not certain the AT-AT can do, but I mean it's possible. I've never heard it capable of doing that, but if it might be able to. Secondly, both of them are kind of the same mindset of like the Star Destroyer. They're both hybrid tanks and APCs, which again, same problems that you see with that. It's not going to be particularly good at either. But the AT-TE is. It's almost as if the AT-TE is more tank than APC, and the AT-AT is more APC than tank, which it was in both cases. And they were often used for roles they weren't really intended for. But the Republic seemed to catch on to this and develop the AT-OT to provide a personnel carrier so the AT-TE could be used as a tank. The Empire just used its glorified M2 Bradley as a tank. And when I say glorified M2 Bradley, I mean the M2 Bradley is by far superior, but the M2 Bradley is a real vehicle that was designed with real physics and real combat in mind. The AT-AT, while terrifying and highly effective and an excellent gun platform when it's unopposed and standing still, is kind of hindered in the fact that it doesn't really work when other people are shooting at it. It's very hard to kill like by penetrating its armor, but it's in a lot of ways it's like the King Tiger tank. It's very, very hard to kill from the armor, but its own logistical and strategic limitations are going to be its downfall more than enemy fire is. The AT-TE doesn't really have that problem. It's much lower to the ground. It's harder to kill, even than the AT-AT. Perhaps most importantly, it has a 360-degree rotating turret, barbette, whatever. Point is, it can shoot its stuff behind it. The AT-AT has absolutely no rear protection as far as like weaponry goes. The AT-TE has 2 laser cannons, and you can spin that big barbette with a mass driver cannon around. And because it's a mass driver cannon, it can pass through ray shields because it's firing a projectile. It can't pass through, of course, any kind of particle shield, but that's neither here nor there. That's what the laser cannons are for. So the AT-TE is one of those weird vehicles that it's a much better tank than its successor, despite obviously being a rush job to get it on the battlefield as quickly as possible. It's like the M3 Lee to the AT-AT's M4 Sherman, except in this case, the M3 Lee is by far superior. I feel dirty just saying that. Anyway, I quite like the AT-TE. I mean, I've always kind of liked the Republic vehicles over the Empire's vehicles. They're just more visually interesting, and in the same way, I like the Venator Star Destroyer over the Imperial Star Destroyer. I like the Phase 2 clone troopers more than stormtroopers. I've kind of always been more of a Republic guy than Empire guy. Not to the same extent that Captain Shack is, but still, I do enjoy a good Empire vehicle, but I tend to be more Republic. Excuse me, I'm yawning all of a sudden. But yeah, AT-TE definitely gets past my book. My favorite Star Wars walker of all time. I think it's just an excellent design. If you're going to design a walking tank, this is, I think, how you should do it. Excellently versatile, stupendous design. I really like it. Hope you enjoy this. Let me know in the comments if you can. I don't know. Cop is weird. Let me know in the comments if they are available. What you think. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, or like and subscribe, or like what do all the things. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.